It's 4 o'clock on no, it's not Monday, it's Wednesday, and it's time for a very special edition of Taxi TV Live. This week, starring our special guest, Miss Michelle Lucky. Yeah, woo!
There's my bicep. Everybody likes their biceps.
Oh, nice. That lady's got biceps. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming. She flew all the way out here from Washington, D.C. just for this 1.5 hour show. Now, actually, Michelle and I have known each other for years. We have many, many taxi member friends in common, and she runs with the Wolfpack. She was coming out here anyway and wanted to do a show, but I was booked I'm already booked for next Monday. And because I didn't do a show this past Monday, I said, you know what? Let's do a special episode on Wednesday. So hopefully, let's see if anybody showed up. Yeah.
She's buffed out.
Skinny audience because it's not our regular day.
I tweeted it. I Facebooked it. You know.
So did we. Anyway, they all show up late. Musicians. Anyway.
Except for me. I'm the only musician that never shows up late. I'm always early. And people actually have gotten mad that I show up early.
Because you make everybody else look bad by comparison, probably.
Know. Anyway.
So this is going to be an interesting show, and I'm excited because I've known Michelle for a while, and we talked about some of this stuff a little bit at the rally. Was it this past year that you were on the Successful Member panel, or the year before?
Year before.
And you were a little sad almost, you know. It was almost like, oh, you know, I've been through a rough time, but I'm going to make it, you know.
Yeah.
And wow, look how far you've come. She's had some great placements. Her stuff is in a lot of libraries with several film and TV publishers. She's co-writing with some of Taxi's, you know, like best writers and collaborators and producers. And so she is going to share with you today some of her knowledge that she's gained, because almost everything that she gave me in a list is stuff that I've been hearing for 23 years. So there's commonality here for you guys. So let's get right to it. Oh, you brought music, right? How did you bring your music?
I sent you a link, but we can. But I have my computer too. I can just pull it up from there. If
I can just jack right in. Okay.
Yeah. It's oh,
that's right. You did send me a link. Shoot. I almost said the S
I don't really want to play the embarrassing song anyway.
But I want them to hear, you know, come on. Even Cara Diaguardi played her worst song ever.
That's true.
And she's really, really talented. So there you go. You can do it.
All right. When you're ready, I'll bring it over and
all right. So let's go right down the list. Realistic expectations. Feeling like you deserve it. I've heard this for 23 years. People say to me, look, buddy, I've been doing this for 35 years and your screener didn't forward me. So what do you want to say about feeling like you deserve it?
Well, I think all of us at some point or another feel like we deserve it, or we've worked hard enough. Well, why isn't this happening? Or why isn't that happening? And it's worse when you've been in the industry for so long, I think, because you've been playing music, you're out doing this, that, and the other. You know, your music is good enough as everybody else's. Why isn't this happening for me? I used to look at other people when they were in the spotlight or on stage singing. I'm like, man, I really want this. Why isn't this happening for me? You know, why? And it's not, and we put the blame on other people, I think. You know, this is not happening for me. It's your fault. Or the industry doesn't appreciate who I am. Or
right, they're trying to keep me out.
Yeah,
no, they're actually looking for people that they can let in.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit of a pride thing. It's a little bit of a, you know, I deserve to be happy thing. But I don't think any of us deserve anything. I mean, we need to keep our humility. We have to work hard for what we want, and do the right things and make the right connections and do the work.
How'd you cross the line from feeling entitled? I guess that's not a bad word for it. How'd you go from feeling entitled to going, holy crap, there's a lot of work to do and I need to start today and get serious?
Yeah, I still feel that way sometimes. But
was there seriously, an epiphany or
therapy? Seriously, I'm serious. I
musician group therapy. Yes.
I had other stuff going on in my life that was preventing me to do the work I needed to do in anything, in any part of my life. And so I was stuck for a long time, and I went through I realized that I needed to get to where I wanted to go. I had to fix who I was. I had to
Wow.
fix what was broken.
So you mean at the road rally, instead of one-on-one mentor sessions, we could have
You
one-on-one
should.
counseling sessions?
Seriously. I mean, it's just, it's really finding that point within yourself where you start to believe in yourself.
Yeah.
And instead of saying, oh, that's too hard, I'm just going to go watch TV, that you're like, no, you're going to the studio and you're going to write.
Yeah.
And you're not going to get discouraged. I mean, you'll get discouraged, but you're going to work hard. You're going to believe in yourself, and you're going to start hoping. But sometimes that cannot be fixed without professional help. Sometimes it can. But
A lot of people go through it's January 1st, I'm going to join a gym and start eating healthy, and they do that for about 30 days,
Yeah.
and they give up. How did you stick with it?
Well, seriously, though, through this therapy and the learning the music part, eventually it just, my thought processes changed. Instead of I deserve it or I am hopeless or all these thoughts are running through my mind, I started to get some validation that, you know what, maybe I can do this. Maybe I am good enough to do this. And so I just started working as hard as possible. There are some very gracious people that started to work with me.
Taxi members?
I mean, I was doing country kind of before, and I really didn't know a lot about what was going on in film and TV. And so some of the first film and TV songs I wrote with Paul Otten.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember I was at home with my ukulele. I'm like, I really, if I'm going to move forward with this, I really need somebody to help me. And so I reached out to him. We kind of wrote our first song together. It's been licensed to a few places, and that kind of started me on that path. And then just the continued reinforcement of changing my thought processes and not having negative thoughts anymore, believing in yourself. I mean, it sounds cheesy, but it's like...
No, it doesn't sound cheesy. It sounds really hard.
And I don't know. I just feel like before I couldn't do anything. I was stuck. I was like, woe is me. It's never going to happen. And now I'm like, screw this. I'm going to work as hard as I can to get everything done. And that word is not coming out that we talked about earlier. But
the F word, I said.
Almost,
okay, we only have a couple of rules. One of them is we don't use the F word very much.
So it is probably going to be a different formula for everyone. Because with me, I also didn't have the 20 or 30 years of music stuff behind me. So I really felt at a loss. I'm like, okay, I had to take singing lessons. I had to learn guitar. I had to learn ukulele, keyboard, all within a span of, since, 2008 or something like that. So I haven't been doing this my entire life. So I felt like even worse than most people.
I was going to get to this much later in the show, but it seems like a fitting time right now. The technology hurdle, and please don't send letters, because I don't mean to sound sexist about this, because we just see a lot less women who are technologically adept, and it has nothing to do with their gender or their capabilities. They're just less prone to doing it. Guys have a natural instinct to tinker. We like to tear apart a car or build a model airplane, and we like to play with electronics. Obviously, there are plenty of women who are technologically adept, but how did you cross that chasm from, I'm assuming if you just started music seriously in 2008, how did you learn the tech?
Well, I'm a scientist by training, first of all.
Really?
So I've always liked to investigate things. I've always had that knack of mechanics in a way, like seeing how things work. If something was broken, somebody, it's broken, you can't fix it. I'm like, why not? So I would always be tinkering anyway. And then the production side of things, I just felt like for me that I wasn't going to be successful unless I could learn to do some of this stuff at home and not pay somebody else to help me, which I do, but that's another story. But anyway, I had to do vocals at home, for instance. Yeah. I had to be able to record my ukulele. I had to be able to do that stuff. And the only way to do that was to just sit down and start learning it. And when you learn it, it's really not all that difficult.
I agree.
For me, the most difficult part is playing and playing in time. Still. The rest of it, it's wavy lines, and you learn how to mesh things together and cut out parts. And this, I mean, it's like cooking.
It is. It's like
spaghetti.
I love making a stir fry. Opening the fridge and seeing what's available and making a stir fry, and I equate mixing to that to some degree. It's a cross between cooking and painting. And on the techie side of things, GarageBand is a great starter system
It is.
because it's a lot like Microsoft Word. The learning curve is just not that hard. So I wish not just women, but for any guys that are technologically reliant on other people, that's growth stunting right there
Yeah.
because you have to have the money, you have to be able to book the time, and then people submit their stuff to Taxi and they say, sorry, it's done.
Yeah.
I can't fix it. And as you must have learned, well, that brings me to another thing I'm going to skip ahead, which is.
I do have one more while you're looking for that.
Yeah.
The whole women thing. I think a lot of us too rely, like if you're playing out, rely on men to do the sound. And no, it's just like these role things that we must somehow
Yeah.
grow up in and start to rely on certain things. And you have to kind of break out of that if you're going to be a leading person and not rely on anybody else. I mean,
Couldn't agree more
I'm
because
just going to snap my finger because
I don't think gender has
so
anything to do with it.
No, it doesn't.
It shouldn't. I mean, yeah. What was I going to ask you about? I got all these great notes.
Hi guys
too.
on the chat.
Oh yeah, I didn't even say hello. Hi.
Hi.
Wow.
Hello.
Bunch of our friends. Are in
Ethan just signed on. Ethan, you missed everything. It's over. Sorry.
I totally forgot what I was going to ask you. What were we
We were
talking
talking about the
before
women things and the learning and the cooking and the.
Before that.
Not cooking. I mean, that production can be
Right,
like cooking.
Right.
Um,
I don't know. I lost it, but okay.
it'll come
So
back.
then let's go back to my list. We already covered realistic expectations and feeling like you deserve it. Overcoming fear. Okay, so we talked about the wrong and destructive thinking. You know, I can't do this. I don't
Right.
deserve it. But fear. Even the bravest person on the planet experiences fear. If you don't experience fear, you're probably not human. What were the things that you feared in the beginning? What are the fears that you've conquered now?
I feared in the beginning that I wasn't a good enough singer.
Okay.
And I feared that since I was 6 years old. I mean, I know music was what I wanted to do since I was very young. And I remember singing in my bedroom to Olivia Newton-John, and I couldn't hit those high notes, so I thought I wasn't good enough.
Well, we've got video of that. We'd love to play in today's show.
No, we do not. But and then every time like a singing opportunity came up, like in high school or something, I mean, I would be really afraid that I couldn't do it, or that if I did sing, that it was going to be awful.
Don't we all go through that?
Yeah. But it was just like this. But it would shut me down. It would just shut me down. And eventually, you know, I started doing the whole karaoke thing. Hotel California was like, yeah, that was what I sang all the time. It was awesome. Now I'm like sick of it. And then came learning the instruments and then trying to open mic. I mean, actually the first night I did a karaoke song, I had probably about 12, 13 beers before I went on. I was so scared.
No, you're so drunk.
Well, and then I went on and nobody could hear me anyway because the room was so loud. I'm up there, you know, so it's the fear of not being good enough, the fear of failure, that you're going to do this and you're going to fail. And if you fail, you're like done.
That's couldn't be further from the truth.
Right. No, I agree.
All it means is that you failed at this thing at this point in time.
And before, there's a timeline. It's like before 2011 and after for me. Because in 2011, that was when I got all the therapy. That's when I knew I needed to change my life, to continue this. Because this went, you know, and I started joining Taxi in 2009. So it was like that year, something happened and I was just like, I need to fix my life. Otherwise, I can't do this.
I remember at the first road rally, you did a pretty good job of networking yourself with your instincts on which members were advancing quickly and had figured stuff out a year or two before. So that was very smart. I don't know if it was intuitive or what, but you found the right people and they took you in, as is the habit at the road rally, right?
Well, and I think that happened because I started to get on the forum. And I think I met Casey through the forum.
Casey Hurwitz.
Yeah. I think he's in New Jersey or New York, so he couldn't be on live. But I remember commenting on some of his lyrics. At the time, like I was doing country, and country's pretty detailed, right? So he puts these lyrics up, and I'm like, oh, no, you really need to describe this, that, and the other. He's like, no. And he starts explaining universal lyrics. So we had gotten talking.
Because he was in film and TV land, and you were in traditional Nashville songwriting.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then then I wanted somebody to re-sing a song that I had done in Nashville. I didn't sing it; it was a guy singing it, but it wasn't quite the right vocal. And he suggested Paul Otten.
Okay.
So I hired him to sing that song, and so then I already knew Casey and a couple other people I had met in previous years by the time the 2011 rally hit. And so then I met Paul, I met Casey, I met Paul Coughlin, a bunch of people, and that's when we all started hanging out kind of at night when I saw you. I think that
I remember that.
with my foot, or I don't know if that was with my broken foot, or that was the year
it was,
before or something.
I think it was
don't
that
remember.
year. It was the night before the rally, and we were sitting at that like high table with the stools, and it was you and I, Paul Coughlin. Thank you.
Sorry.
Coughlin, Otten,
Some other people I
Dean
forget.
Krippan, probably. And that's right, your foot was messed up because I remember I rode up in the elevator with you and I was looking at your foot and I think I asked you what happened.
Yeah, that might have been in 2012. Either way, but that's just kind of how it built, was getting on the forum, starting to meet the people, and just building it year after year and learning. And then from that learning, you start to realize that, you do have talents that you don't realize you had, or that you could, you think you couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? Maybe I can do this. Now, I'm not saying I still don't have fear, because now when I play out, I'm like, God, that note was wrong, and I got to shut that voice down. It's like shutting the critics down and just doing it.
Yeah.
I mean, that will shut the fear down.
Yeah, no performance is ever going to be perfect. No Taxi TV episode will ever be perfect.
No. As long as the F word doesn't come out right.
Procrastination. I think procrastination is the biggest disease on the planet. Rob Spencer, my experience with Taxi is that the right people are so approachable that collabs happen very organically. Yep.
That is true.
We have a very special crowd of people that show up at the rally. But procrastination, it's an epidemic. I'm sure it's on a global scale. It's not just Americans. It's not just people in certain regions of America. And I think that technology allows us to procrastinate now. It's so easy to sit there with your cell phone or your iPad and piss away time to sit there. Oh, I'm just catching up on Facebook. Yeah, well, for every minute you're doing that, you're not writing a song.
I know. And it's the biggest form of what in the book, The War of Art.
Stephen Pressfield.
War of Art, yes. Stephen Pressfield. Resistance. That's like the number one killer. I mean, this procrastination, it's a form of resistance. It's too hard to do this. So, and I'm too stressed to do this. I'm just going to go through Facebook. Oh wait, there's a marathon of some TV show I like. I'm just going to do everything I can possibly do.
So I don't feel like I'm wasting my time while I'm wasting my time.
And somehow I've overcome that to a point, but when I get extremely stressed and busy, that'll come back. It's like, okay, I got to do this, and I got to do the social media, then I got to do this and this and this. When really, I'm avoiding practicing, or I'm avoiding finishing the song I need to finish. Why? I don't know.
Because it's harder to do that than it is to waste the time looking at your iPhone.
And the thing is, it's once you recognize that that's what it is, it's a distraction for what you really need to do. You can tell yourself, shut the hell up and do what you need to do. And I've been doing that the last several weeks, because you'll go through up and down periods. I'm like, all right, this is stupid. You need to go play that song. Or you need to finish that lyric. You need to sing that song. And once you get into that, you feel so much better, because that's what you're made for, you know? Yeah. And I do like Facebook and Twitter and all that, because I can catch up on all the music stuff going on and my friends and whatever. But when you start just aimlessly going through things, oh, look at that picture. Oh, it's just...
I find myself looking at bridesmaid dresses.
I'm not going to say anything about that because
years ago I became infatuated with bad bridesmaid dresses. It is amazing, for all the money spent every year on bridesmaid dresses, how few of them ever look good on anybody. I've never tried one on, just saying.
That's why when I had mine, it was very tasteful. I didn't want anything cheesy.
Yeah, so. No puffy.
No, hell no.
Okay. Not having patience. We live in an instant gratification society, again, because of our stupid little cell phones and iPads and the internet, and everything you need is right there in front of you. How does not having patience...
That's your patience statement. Who came up with this? Stephen Giles.
Steven has certainly made the bumper stickers. I don't know if he was the guy that came up with the phrase or if that was
Maybe that was a taxi.
organically.
Was that a taxi phrase? Somebody
No,
came up with it.
I certainly didn't come up with it. I don't think the
The
staff did,
patience
but
thing. Ugh.
could have been Steven.
I Once you realize like something is within your grasp,
Hmm.
you want it even more, and sometimes you become less patient. And it's like when you're first starting out, you're like, oh my god, this is awesome. I'm so glad I found out about all this, and I want to start right away, and I want to get this, and that, and the other. You can almost get impatient to the point of annoying people. Done it. And but then it's like once you cross that threshold and you kind of back off, you're doing the work, then you get to another point where you're like, I'm working really hard. I really want this now. What else can I do to get this finished? Who else can I talk to? And you just kind of get, I get anxious when that happens. And so I try to just, all right, calm down. It's just a day by day, hour by hour, do the work, submit the songs, do another song, do what you need to do. It's like the constant self-talk you have to do to kind of get yourself out of that realm and not like completely badger people to get stuff done.
Haven't you noticed on the forum that about every 6 weeks somebody will come on there that's new and God bless them. I get it. I'm not putting you new guys down, but somebody new will come on. I just saw one the other day. Somebody said, "Okay, I've gotten a forward. Now what? How long does it take?" They've had one song forwarded to one company, and I understand. It's like
It took me a year before I got my first forward.
And how long did it take that forward to turn into a deal?
Well, that forward didn't. But after that, since I started learning the craft, I started getting more forwards. And then I'm trying to remember, it was sometime in that same year, I think this song got signed to a publisher. Not that song, but a different song.
Right.
So it was probably within that, I think it was within that same year. It just took a whole year first of finally writing something and finding the right listing, and targeting something to that listing and then getting it forward. It
Were you
just takes
bad at targeting in the beginning?
yeah. You'd read stuff and you're like, earthy, indie, this, that, and the other. You're like, what? What does that mean? I don't know what that means.
Do you know now?
I do know now for the most part.
Right.
Sometimes you'll read something, you're like, okay, because now I can go and listen to a song and I can be like, okay, they're doing these drums, got this rhythm, the vocal sounds like this, the electric guitar is doing this.
So you
but I couldn't do that.
Trained your ears.
Yeah, I could not do that years ago. I'm like, pop song, poop, female vocals, here's a song.
Right.
Oh, songs about regret. Here's a song about regret, So it's
The one word that jumps out from the listing is the word regret, and
regret.
you base your whole submission. And yeah, I mean, half of our members don't renew after their first year.
Yeah.
It's always been that way. And they walk away, a lot of them walk away ticked off and frustrated, dejected. It's what you said earlier, that they're not going to blame themselves. They're going to blame Taxi. They're going to blame their co-writer.
Well,
they're going to blame the industries trying to keep me out.
It's everybody else's fault.
Yeah.
I've been talking to several people in the area, and it's the same thing. Yeah, I tried Taxi for a year, but nothing really happened. Because what people see is the forward.
Right.
They're just there to take my money and then forward the listing, and well, I could go do that on this site or that site or this site.
Right.
I'm like, there's so much more to it. You don't get how much more there is to it.
Yeah.
So now there's more people that want me to give some film and TV seminars and that kind of stuff, so I can explain, because there are people that are always going to think it's a scam, no matter what.
Even though they could go on our forum, the success story
That's
thing,
what I say.
and see
I'm like,
50 pages of people, in their own words, talking about their success. There's a guy, Ari Hernstad, I think is his name, and he wrote an article that was published somewhere in the internet, and he said, yeah, I wouldn't use any of those pay services. I don't think he mentioned us by name, but in the comments below, there's always that guy whose name is anonymous. Wherever he goes, his name is anonymous. Oh yeah, I would never use Taxi. And then all these Taxi members jumped in using their real name, saying, I beg your pardon, but I've been using the company for 5 years and I owe them my entire career. And then somebody, anonymous or indie dude, came back and said, accused Taxi of like using fake names, that we all went on there with fake names, to defend Taxi, when it was completely organic. I didn't even know till a year after the article and the comments were up. That's when I found out about it. But why is it that people don't want to believe that there is something that works?
I don't know. I think they want a quick fix.
Oh yeah, that
That's
was
on
where
the
we
list
started.
somewhere.
Yeah,
But first, I want to. Can we ask the audience? I just want to
yeah.
know if you guys have suffered from any of this, the procrastination stuff and how you deal with it. If you want to share a few ways, because I don't want it to be all about me. I mean, I do, but I don't.
And don't procrastinate with your answer. There is like a 20-second delay, which is really uncomfortable.
So we'll just
Sometimes.
stare.
Yeah.
Can I make faces like
Yeah.
this? Sorry. Do not post that anywhere if you snap a picture of the screen.
I can absolutely grab a screenshot of that, and that's going to be on the screenshot for the episode.
I don't know if anybody heard my question.
I'm not kidding. Yes, what do you guys do? How do you feel about procrastination?
In a way, not believing that people actually getting a deal relates to their own personal resistance, a la Pressfield. Yeah. I've been putting that off. Funny. I'll think about that later. See, the jokes, no matter if he posted these guys, like the jokes come out. Huge procrastinator here, trying to overcome big time. It's just...
Keith LeBrant has got to go Facebook, sorry.
If you have not read that book, The War of Art, and Do the Work by Stephen Pressfield, read it. Yep. I actually wrote a blog on it that I deleted by accident and didn't save it, so... I'm going to have to rewrite it, which would be good because I go refer back to the book all the time.
I've read each of those books like 3 times.
I'll tell myself that I'll just do 20 minutes, which always turns to hours. That's good. Just go in and okay, I'm just going to work on this for an hour today. And if it comes out, you're working all day on something.
I think he's talking about, he means like I'm going to procrastinate for 20 minutes, like watch a TV show for 20 minutes or Facebook for 20 minutes.
Oh, maybe.
I could be wrong.
Just fine, 20 minutes here, 10 minutes there, whatever holes you have in your day. It doesn't mean you have to sit down for an 8-hour session.
Right.
It's true.
But you know what? There is something to be said for scheduling with regularity. And look, most of you guys, men and women are married, I guess, in a relationship, might have kids. Schedule a time every day so that at least you'll feel really, really guilty when you don't do it at the right time. And it's like going to the gym.
Yeah. Well, and that's something I've actually struggled with lately is, I'll try to make these schedules and I don't like rules.
Yeah.
So I'll have a schedule and I'm like, I'm going to do what I want.
And you're a scientist by trade.
I know, right? So, but yeah, I mean, I think at least having it on your calendar, okay, it's like, get up, exercise, clean the house, whatever. If you work from home, 4 hours in the studio and then shut it down is a good thing to start if you can keep schedules. If you can't keep schedules, then you really have to be disciplined to turn that computer off, put down the phone, do your work, come back from lunch, do your work again, however it fits, with your day, if your day changes from day to day.
Is it like the gym in that after the first couple of weeks when you drop the first 3 pounds and your stomach is a little flatter, you go, oh, this is actually working, and that motivates you to keep going?
Yeah, I think it does. It motivates me. When I joined the Get Your Ass writing thing.
Right. What's the acronym?
GYAWS.
Okay.
And you had to write to a theme.
Oh.
And there was, it's each week it was due by like Saturday night at midnight. So
how many people belong to that group?
God, I don't know, a bazillion.
Really?
There's a lot of people on there now.
And how many people tend to stick with it?
I probably have to ask Patty and Steve, but I think a lot of the people have stuck with it. That I go back on. I don't do it every week anymore, but I go back on, and there seems to be a lot of consistency as far as the people who are posting and writing. And it's been going on for, was this the 2nd year? I think it's in.
I think so.
Because I started last year, and I tell you, just doing that and the pressure of writing something that quickly, you don't care if it's perfect. You're just like, blah, blah, blah. And then most of the songs have turned into real songs that have been signed to publishers. It's helped me with my production, everything, because you're there and you're doing it. You don't have to be perfect, but then you could turn it into that. I've even did some wild and crazy stupid stuff in there too, but it was fun.
Well, remember when, I don't know if you were in the ballroom when Stephen Memel was doing a performance thing years ago, and he got...
Hey, Stephen.
Memel had an act called Mike and Ruthie up on stage, and he made them flop around like a couple of contorting things, and It was really embarrassing. I was having a tough time watching it. I mean, it was just embarrassing. The staff and I went the day after the rally to see them play a show. Before that, they were shoegazers, really talented people.
Yeah.
They're like a legit modern folk act from upstate New York, I think Woodstock. And we went to see them the next night do a show. We were all dragging our butts from having done the rally, and we went just because we loved them so much. They were amazing because he made them do all these weird contortions. So I think that the fact that you got out of your comfort zone,
Yeah.
which is one of the
Yeah.
things I want to talk about today. People, those people that say, I've been doing it for 35 years and the industry owes me something, I'm entitled because I've been doing it for so long. They've not gotten out of their comfort zone. And you apparently did.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just started. I guess at some point I was like, this is what I want to do, and I can't go back to what I was before. I can't go back doing what I was doing before. It was soul sucking. It's like my whole life, my career, everything, and this is what I really wanted to do. And so then you just start working hard. You get out. You're like, all right, you know what? I'm just going to sing these vocals. I think they sound like crap, but I'm going to do it anyway. Because usually when I think something sounds like crap, somebody else doesn't. I force myself now to start doing some solo shows with no backup and it scares the crap out of me to do that. But that's the only way I'm going to get better. And playing out is going to help me record guitar at home. I remember I recorded one song of mine, guitar, and I was gripping it and practicing so hard. I started to get like pain in my thumb and like, because I had to learn it. I had to do it. And it's going to take a lot of work to get it done. And it's going to be out of my comfort zone because I wasn't all that familiar with the guitar and all that, but I'm doing it, damn it. Because, I mean, that's the only way you're going to improve is get out of that comfort zone and start learning new things. Who cares if you mess up? I mean, I've forgotten lyrics, which used to scare the crap out of me to not have something in front of me.
I've seen Barbra Streisand live, and she had big screen TVs hanging over the audience's head with the lyrics on them. So if Babs can use,
Just something about everybody's like, you don't know your own songs. I'm like, I'm scared to know my own songs. I go out and play. I'm scared I'm gonna mess up. The other night I'm playing. I'm like, yeah, that was completely messed up, but whatever. I'm just gonna keep going.
Shortcuts. That's I think where we were going before is shortcuts. That
People want a shortcut.
Yeah, and that's ingrained because of the way we live our lives now. I mean, you get lost, you bring up GPS on your phone. There are all these little shortcuts in life, and I think that people think that that's going to translate into songwriting or into performing or recording or production.
They think you're going to pitch their songs to like your publishers or something. I mean, I've gotten some of that. Well, maybe you can send these, and like, I can get, there's some connections I can give you that are pretty easy to find publicly, but I can't just take your stuff and be like, hey, here, you have to meet these people. You have to make sure the songs are good. And I had people come up to me and, let me play this for you. It's so good. You might want to do something with it. I'm like,
I've had that happen a couple of times.
And Stephen Giles, I didn't talk completely about collaborating, but I did talk about G-Oz. So there. But I won't. Anyway.
Let's talk about collaborating. So when you started out, you thought you were doing country, or you were trying to do country. And this goes along with getting out of your comfort zone. So when you met other taxi members that you found to be good, helpful, warm people, and you collaborated, how were your first early collaboration sessions? You had to be nervous as hell. And probably thinking,
are you kidding?
Paul Otten. Paul, if you're watching the show, everybody loves you. He's super talented. He's incredibly good at doing like any genre. The guy, he's such a chameleon, and it's because he studies the genre, then attacks it and succeeds at it. So that had to be scary as hell.
Well, it was scary too, and I wanted at some point what I wanted to do is take these early songs, my shitty ideas, and then play them next to this. Oh, sorry. At least it wasn't the other word.
Yeah, I'm glad it's not live.
And jeez, beep, and play them next to the finished thing.
Yeah.
Because my very first idea that I sent to him, I went to try to find it a couple weeks ago and I couldn't find it. But it was just like, this is really crappy on my ukulele. And it was very embarrassing to send it to somebody. Because first of all, you don't want that getting out in the world at all. But you almost need that because, especially if you haven't learned all this stuff, having somebody that will work with you at your level, they're at this level, you're at this level, you're at this level, is awesome. And some people won't do
Yeah,
that.
what was in
And
it for Paul Otten to bring himself,
well, me, because I'm so awesome.
I
No,
mean,
I'm just kidding.
taking you out of the equation,
Yeah.
why would somebody who is more evolved and more successful and further down the road backtrack to work to handhold somebody and walk them through the developmental stage? I mean,
Well,
that's pretty generous.
I think at that point, I mean, I think that was when he was first starting to get like all the forwards and getting the deal signed, and plus he was starting to do more production.
Mm-hmm.
So then he got to produce my songs too, which maybe that helped. I don't know. If Paul's on there, you can answer. But uh, and from there, because we did like I think 20, 25 songs together, won like grand prize and John Lennon song contest and everything. From there, he got more collaborations, and it just builds. Like if you work with somebody that's at a different level, as long as the other person that's at the lower level is willing to do the work that they need to do,
And not just ride on the coattails.
that's part of the problem in some cases, and why some people won't work with other people, because you can pretty much tell who's going to do the work and who's not going to do the work.
I've been getting taxi members mentioning to me that it's time we should think about making the forum private, Taxis Forum. And the reason is that the forum has become so, even though it's not like a huge forum like some other ones with just a gazillion people, the quality of the people on the forum is well renowned. So what's happening is the word is out that these high quality members hang out on the forum, and people who are not taxi members are allowed or free to go to the forum, and they make 2 posts and then they say, hey, I'd love to collaborate with you. And the members are starting to get a little annoyed because they feel like they're interlopers. And so people have started, nobody's demanded it yet, but people are starting to suggest that I make it private for that reason. And that's what you're talking about is people, they know you've got the connections, they know you've got the talent and the credibility, and they want to latch on to that rather than doing the work themselves.
Yeah, and I don't know about making the forum private, only because I think I don't actually I don't think I think I was a taxi member before I got on the forum, but I wasn't on the forum yet. Because if there are those people out there that truly want to succeed, but they don't trust taxi yet. So sometimes they'll say, go on the forum, look around, go to peer to peer, go to success stories, ask people questions. And they don't want to have to join to be able to see that. And then maybe they'll join because of it. I mean, maybe they will find some good collaborations, maybe not. But I know that being on that forum and meeting the people at the rally, I mean, that's the other thing that they can find out about is the rally on the forum, will lead to these collaborations. I mean, actually, the GEOS thing and the forum is where I met a lot of my collaborators after Paul. I mean, Paul Coughlin I met at the rally. Nathan and I met through GEOS. Steven and I met at the rally and then went, recorded songs in GEOS. And Pedro, I mean, it's all connected. It's like this whole community that, there's the forum and then there's GEOS and there's the rally. That I don't know that shutting one of those down.
Even
people.
Taxi TV,
Yes.
70% of the audience is the same every week. And these people have become friends and they communicate after the show with each other. There are times where I will turn off the show and I sit there and watch you guys in the chat room afterwards. So I know what you're saying.
Make sure you just comment that my hair looks good. No, I'm just kidding.
Yes.
But
that was the other reason I didn't do a show on Monday. I came back from Chicago and I had really puffy hair.
But one more thing about the shortcut thing. I got an email from somebody and they're like, hey, I'm a lyric writer. Would you mind taking a look at my lyrics? And, I have a hard time saying no, and sometimes I need to. And at first I'm like, okay, I'm not too thrilled about this one. There's some things you need to learn. I try to point them to educate themselves, learn about universal lyrics, learn about this. I said also, I don't produce fully produced songs. I could do something simple, but if we ended up collaborating and did like a full production, we'd need to contribute dollars. And as soon as I mentioned dollars, they're like, had I known I didn't need money, I wouldn't have contacted you and all this stuff. And they sent me this whole other thing of lyrics, which actually were a little bit better, but based on and then they gave me the sob story about their age and that they couldn't like play guitar anymore and all this stuff. And I just kind of blocked it because, I don't mind working with people as long as it seems legit,
Mm-hmm.
that they're going to do the work, that if we've got to pay for production, they're going to contribute half. I mean, I don't have a full-time job. This is it. I gave up everything to do this. So you have to start to be choosy. And I hate saying that because I am very grateful for all the people that worked with me when they could have said no.
But you were willing to work with them.
Yes, and I was willing to
You
do
just
the work.
right.
Yeah,
You,
well, yeah, for the person. Yeah, I
right.
was.
You were just asking them to carry half the load,
Yeah, and that was like,
which you apparently did when you were on the receiving end of that relationship.
yeah, I tried to as best I could because at the time I couldn't record or anything. So it was a bit of a build and a trust in each other. But I did the work. I contributed the lyrics. I was, honest about if I thought a lyric sucked or something.
What's your strength?
It's changed kind of. I think I could do lyrics really well. I mean, depending on the song, sometimes lyrics, melody, and the structure.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you should ask my co-writers what my strengths are. Any of you on there? Ethan, Steve, Nathan, come on, chime in. Andy. I mean, I don't know. Sometimes with your collaborations, it's like I'll come up with a full song and I send it to my collaborator and they'll change some lyrics or maybe let's use a chord here. Or I'll just send some lyrics and they'll come up with a melody. Or sometimes my FM and Scott Free, they'll sometimes send me lyrics and melodies like done, and then I'll go in and maybe change a lyric and like, why don't we do this or that? It's just,
How do you guys not offend each other? Have you grown thicker skin over time that if you're working with Nathan Nasby and he writes back and says, hey, Shell, this lyric doesn't make sense. You go from the first verse to second verse, that there's no real connection how you got from point A to point B. Does that offend you now? Did it offend you back in the day, but now you welcome it because you trust him to do it with love and wanting a good outcome?
I just tell him to shove it, and I like my lyric. No, I'm just kidding. I was kidding. No, but it used to be, I'd write these lyrics, and this is the greatest stuff ever.
Yeah.
And then somebody wants to change it. I'm like, but I really like that, and you kind of get whiny about it. But you have to be real. Like with the people I work with, if we have some back and forth banter sometimes, just like, well, that sucks. Well, that's ridiculous. Well, I don't like that word. Well, but it's all in fun and jest for some people. I mean, I'm not like that with everybody. Like sometimes it's more politically correct. You're like, yeah, that makes more sense, I think. Or, no, I really think we should say it this way. And they might come back and say, well, how about this? I'm like, okay, yeah, that's cool. Let's go with that.
How hard is the pushback from each of you? Do you find yourselves, like, if you really believe that their idea is not great, do you ever have to say, I'm sorry, but I just can't agree with that. We really need to do this line my way, and you just need to trust me on it?
Sometimes.
Yeah?
I mean, that will happen sometimes.
That's cool.
I mean, it
that's
has
to. That's a real relationship.
Yeah. I mean, you have to be able to be like, you know what? No, I really think this works better. And usually I try to say, this is why, this is why I think this is going to work here. I said, I'm willing to sometimes I need to sing it, like sing a demo of it and just kind of hear it back. And be like, let's listen to it this way. And let's listen to this lyric and let's kind of see how it flows. There have been times when we just haven't agreed at all on like a song. And I've been like, you know what? Okay, but I really like this. So do you mind if I take this and go work with somebody else on it? And they've been like, yeah, that's fine. Because then the other idea...
Sure, no problem.
Yeah. But then the other idea they came up with, we worked on together and come up with a song, gets signed. And this one I work with somebody else and it gets signed over here. And that's just the way it happens.
In Nashville, there's a rule that if you're, in the room, you get an equal share of a song. How do you go about the business side of collaborating? What if you were an 80% contributor and your co-writer, if it's assuming it's just one on a particular thing, if you're 80% and they're 20%, is it still a 50-50 split?
Most of the time I do 50-50 splits. Yeah. If somebody's doing the production... Because, I mean, I do vocals. If I'm singing it, I do vocals at home, but they'll do the production. Sometimes we'll try to do some monetary splits just to kind of help each other out. Occasionally, I've done stuff where I've given the person producing it, that's also a co-writer, more of the percentage of writing. But it's a lot easier to just split it down the middle or three ways or whatever you're doing. And then, if somebody's doing a full production, you contribute your part of what the production fee would be, depending.
What does the production fee typically run? Is there a range? Because I'm sure we've got people watching the show that go, is she talking about $2,000 a song, or is she talking 200
I have
a
to be
song?
careful what I say here, because the people charge me less will want to charge me more.
Okay, well, give a range.
There's a range, but between like 300 and 600.
Okay.
Pretty much.
That's not that wide.
Which there's a guy I work with, some of the more professional studios. I mean, that's like too low for them. But I'm like, but they're producing artist records. Like artist records, you're going to pay $1,500, $2,000 or more a song, and I just can't afford that. So thank you. I love you all.
Oh, that's another thing that we hear sometimes. People, not only do we get the, hey, I've been doing this for 35 years, and I can't believe you guys didn't forward my song to this publisher or whomever. The other thing we get is, I recorded this at a famous studio, and they'll rattle off an engineer's name, and the engineers have impeccable credits. But you know what? The engineer didn't write the song.
Right.
It's really well engineered.
Right.
And the production isn't that great because the songwriter kept saying to the engineer, no, I really hear it like this. They should rely on the guy probably sitting on the other side of the console, because he does it every day and has been doing it for years. But I remember from my days of pushing buttons that you would get hired to produce something, and look, you've got to respect the writer. It's their song. But at the same time, you don't want them to be their own worst enemy.
Right.
So it's always a give and take, and a bit of it's like group therapy.
By the way, you people, if I saw some banter going on there, I'm going to scroll back up and look and see what you said. I think Nathan said something about me not seeing one of his comments, so better watch it. Anyway.
Nathan's Canadian, right?
Yes.
Canadians are so friendly.
Yes, they're very friendly. They're very laid back, friendly people.
I have found in Vancouver that you could walk up to the average person on the street, kick them in the shins, and they would apologize for getting their shin in the way of your foot. It's a very, very friendly country. Really good sushi in Vancouver. But he's not from Vancouver.
No.
Where's Nathan from? Somewhere
Manitoba.
Oh, that's
Brandon, Manitoba.
Ooh.
Yeah, try practicing 1,600 miles apart for an upcoming tour. That's always fun.
Wow. Man, Neil Young's from that part of the world, if I remember correctly. Okay, let's talk about learning the business side and the etiquette that goes with it. How much did you know on a scale of 1 to 10 when you first got serious about this, 2008-ish, 2011, those early years? How much did you know about the business on a scale of 1 to 10 when you started?
0.
Okay. And did you have preconceived notions that I think a lot of musicians have wrongly preconceived notions? Because I think you mentioned somewhere in your notes about like the big shot musician in town. There's that syndrome where there's this one person who's like the grandpa or the alpha male typically. Sorry again, don't mean to offend any of the ladies, but there's an alpha musician that's been around the block, and he probably had a record deal and put out a record, and it failed, and he's ticked off at the label and pissed off at the industry and the world. But yet all the other musicians in town listen to this guy, and his bitterness comes out and gives people the wrong impression about the industry, the people in the industry, and I think there are a lot of people that have this wrong impression about the business aspect.
Yeah.
So how do you go from not knowing anything when you were a zero to, I'm guessing that you're pretty well educated now as to the difference between this kind of, and we'll talk about non-exclusive and exclusive stuff.
I am. Well, I learned most of what I learned from Taxi was one thing, from going to the seminars. Casey gives us a good seminar on kind of understanding the different deals in film and TV, from reading books. And I go to Nashville every now and then, and one of my friends has a group. It's like Songwriters Business. I forget the exact name of it, but she sold a book on like the music business, kind of how the songs make the money, the mechanicals, and all that stuff. And then so it was that side of it from the artist kind of point of view as well. So from all of that, and now you got the YouTube stuff, and I wrote a blog about it, by the way.
I've read a couple of your blogs, by the way.
I had to repost them all because I accidentally deleted them.
All of them?
And it disappeared. A lot of them were on my computer, but it was the web.
Were you updating WordPress?
It wasn't WordPress. It was like Weebly, and we did something on my website, and then all of a sudden the blog was like gone, and they said, "Oh, if you use Weebly, we can't back it up." I'm like, "Then why do you offer it as a service?" Anyway, bygones. Anyway, so I'm reposting all of that stuff.
Wow.
But yeah, it takes some time to learn it and understand it. I have a lot of friends. They'll ask me about it. You know, if there's a clause in a contract or something, and I still, I go through the contracts. I don't understand like every single thing they're talking about, but usually I can pretty much be like, well, I think this means that, or you should get clarification on that. So I've got a pretty good working knowledge of what's happening.
Did you used to think everybody in the industry was out to screw you? 'Cause that seems to
Well,
be.
initially it just seemed like, you had to play with the good crowd and be in with certain people, and it can still be cliquish, I guess, but really when you start to get to know a lot of the people, it's not. There are
I'm,
some people I think that are still
I
in
was
that.
thinking more about like the industry people. Like if somebody from if a publisher wants to
Oh.
pick up a song of yours, there's we get this complaint from the industry side a lot that I can't believe it. I reached out to so many of your members whose music I love that you
Oh,
guys sent to me, and
yeah.
they don't get back to me. And the members inevitably will say, "I was afraid of getting screwed in the deal,"
No,
and I
I'm not afraid of that. I don't think people are out to screw you, but it's hard to judge like who's going to do the work for your song and who is not.
mhm,
Like if it's a very brand new publisher or library that you've never ever heard
right.
of, it's hard to sign something exclusively.
Hmm.
Either forever. I mean, if it's like 2 3 years, I'm like, all right, I have enough songs now. I'll put a couple
Right.
in there and let's see what happens. But let's say you do that, and I've done that with some of my co-writers. You probably know what I'm talking about. And then you hear like crickets. It's like you sign the song, and there's nothing. There's not even any communication from the company.
Hmm.
You try to contact them. There's nothing, nothing, nothing. You're like, well, what the what? I'm not going to say the word. And uh, so that can get you a little bit afraid to sign with like new people that you're not quite sure what their deal is. And it's like, where do you get honest information about these places? I mean, I'm at the point, and especially if you're a songwriter and you're only writing like a few songs, every few months, and you're not
Hmm.
putting out a mass input quantity, you treat them like your babies, and you want to be really careful where you put them, is how people seem to think.
Yeah,
Um,
and I
which
understand that. It
yeah.
makes sense.
But I mean, if people contact me, I always try to get back to them, and I'm willing to take chances now because I've got enough songs. My goal is to get to that 80 song level. I think last year I was at 65.
Wow.
This year is a little bit slower just because the other artist and the tour thing and everything going on, but I'm pretty sure that I can pick that slack up, even if it's just making instrumentals. And I'm willing to try and spread it out. And I think you have to be willing to do that and not just immediately say no.
Let's talk about spreading it out because in your notes you mentioned non-exclusive deals, exclusive deals, royalty-free, which is still a pretty dirty word.
Yeah. When you're
But
making 8,000 a year from it or something, it's not so dirty
right.
after all.
um, how do you spread your bets among the different
Mhm.
types of publishers and different types of deals?
Right now, one, I write all the time targeting listings for Taxi. For other songs, I'll spread, I'll do a few that are exclusive in perpetuity. And those are usually by request from the publisher now.
Mm-hmm.
So publishers like, hey, do you have any songs in this vein? And if I don't have it, I'll make one
Mm-hmm.
for them. So there's that side of it. I always, if I have a good song and I think I'm going to put it on an album or something like that, I try non-exclusive.
Mm-hmm.
Anything that's happy, bouncy, whatever, goes to certain non-exclusive libraries and to a royalty-free library that's making me some good money.
Okay.
And then I have a few others that have like the 2 and 3 exclusive deal thing,
2 and
which
3 or
I'll pitch regularly to them. So I'm pretty much spreading it out as wide as I can, and bucketing things based on what I think I'm going to do with the song in the future.
Do you find that they have peaks and valleys? My experience, just from talking to a lot of Taxi members, is that certain publishers, um, let's say somebody's got a tight relationship with the show Royal Pains, and the music soup on Royal Pains tends to go back to the same well pretty frequently to get stuff. So they may have a very up year, and then Royal Pains may get
Yeah.
canceled.
Right.
So all of a sudden, their income or the number of songs they're going to get placed will drop by 20 or 30% until the Royal Pains producer lands on a new show and hires the same music soup, and things go back up again. So I've seen taxi members make the mistake of putting their stuff in one library that
Yeah.
did really well for them in the beginning. They love me, they're doing great for me, and they never imagine that the valley's coming. And when it does, they go, "Holy crap!"
Yeah, you have to spread it around. And I know that we've talked before about some people treating non-exclusive libraries as exclusive,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't 100% agree with that, because this is my life and my money and my career. And until I get to a point where I don't need to do that, I need to see who's going to work for me the most, like work my
Mm-hmm.
songs the most. Now, there are some songs that, if they're really, really good and I sign them non exclusively, I probably won't put them anywhere else. But there are some that, okay, you know what, I can take the instrumental of this and put it over here, and I will give these guys the vocal version. I'll cut down this to 30 seconds and put it in as a cue, because all of that, they might be pitching different shows. You don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And that will start to build up on your royalty reports. And until I feel like I'm in that situation where I can just spin things out and don't have to, and can just be like, okay, this is for these group, that's for this group. I'm not going to put these over here. I mean, I'll sign them, not always, but I will sign a couple songs that are non-exclusive in different non-exclusive places.
Are you at the point yet, production wise and recording wise, that you could do a ukulele, a cajon, and a glockenspiel instrumental cue all by your lonesome?
Yeah, that I can do, and that's actually something that I've been lacking doing. And I
Mm-hmm.
know you've talked about that before. It's one of just make 10, 15 cues like that,
Yeah.
put them in libraries, and I know I can do that. That's where that procrastination resistance kind of thing comes in.
I would think that
But
would be the
yes.
thing that you use
Yeah.
to procrastinate from finishing a song with lyrics, which would be harder in my estimation.
Yeah, and it's just, I do need to crack down and start doing more of that kind of stuff just to spread it out, because I think I consider myself in the third year of the 5-year plan, maybe.
Okay.
I mean, I kind of count my first year in that 2012 time frame, because I really didn't know what the hell I was doing until then, and then it started to increase. So, I'm already starting to see more come in this year than last year, and that's the goal, right?
Yeah.
So it's just being consistent, and then keeping doing these things, writing songs. The more you collaborate, the more songs you're going to write. If you can record on your own, yes, do more of those instrumentals, and I'm going to get back on that as soon as the summer hits, and because I do have requests for that kind of stuff too.
I'm really proud of you because you didn't give up after a year. There's so many people.
Oh,
If there's
there's
one
a
thing
ton.
about Taxi that is the thorn in my side, it's people that give up after a year. You couldn't expect in any. I guess that goes with the entitlement syndrome, but you couldn't expect to become a pro golfer in a year, or a quarterback, or a brain surgeon, or
Mm-mm.
anything that takes skill and craft. And we hear people that don't come back after a year, and I think, man, you were 90% of the way there. Maybe the music was 100%, but they're not pitching it right yet. But you
Yeah,
are.
you have to, like any career, you have to work at it, work at it, work at it. My career that I had previously, I mean, I built up to that salary level and everything. I mean, that was like 15 years worth, and
Yeah.
I don't expect to make that much at music yet, but I'd like to get at least to half of what I was before. And it's not gonna be done in 2 or 3 years.
And the cool thing about it is you could be retired and be, 67 years old living in a beach house somewhere in Costa Rica and doing this.
Yeah. As long as you're getting enough income to live on. And I've been lucky that I have a spouse that at work and has been letting me do this, letting me. He'd like to see more money come in. So every time I get something, like, see, look. And it's not all about the money, but it's doing what you love, working hard at it, and then once you start to see that you can start to make some money off doing what you love, it's an extra validation. I mean, it's I just don't do it for the money, but that is a nice thing to be able to do that, because you have to make a living, you have to support yourself, you have to buy food and whatever.
I think a lot of people don't believe that they deserve to earn a living doing something they love. that we're all so conditioned to, work is work. And even though it's a lot of work to make the right kind of music and make good music, it's still sure it beats the hell out of doing, digging ditches.
Yeah, and it's, people think that because you do music, oh, that's not work. It's not work. I have never worked harder in my life and never been happier.
Right.
Now, I may get frustrated to the core where I just have to go drive somewhere and look off a mountaintop and just look at the view and get the hell away from everything. But then I wake up the next morning and want to do it again. So,
Great.
never felt that way about anything. And I hope you guys feel that way too. If you do, then you know this is for you. So,
staying inside your own head.
here's hold on. Mike. Where to go? Michael, I'm in my first year. It is tough with the gold analogy. I have not broken 100 yet. I will keep working. Broken 100 what?
And what's the gold analogy?
I don't know. Maybe we missed something above that.
Oh, golf analogy.
Golf. Yeah. I said gold.
Yeah,
gold.
typo.
Wait.
Right. Taxiland and Pedro, or Taxi and Pedro, are some of. Whoa, there's
First myself. Who's acting as a professional. And you do, you do have to consider yourself. It's like, I remember the first taxi rally I went to. First of all, I had like 4 songs, and it was like, whatever. I mean, they were done in a studio, with a co-writer and a producer friend of mine. So they were what they were. But I had to start thinking, he told me, he's like, you are Michelle Lockey's songwriter.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, no, I'm not. This is before, everything
I'm Michelle
changed.
Lockey. I want to be a songwriter.
I want to be a songwriter. Yeah. Here, take my music. I mean, that's how I felt. It's like, here's my music. But now it's like I feel that way. This is what I do. I'm a songwriter. I record. I call myself a recording artist now. I am a producer, and I also I try to take what I learn and help people get past their barriers too. So
I've read a couple of your blogs. They're really, really good. So
thank you.
I'm glad that you're carrying on the taxi tradition and paying it forward. Let's open it up to some Q&A. Oh, one more thing.
Let me know if you want me to play that crappy ass song.
Oh, yeah. You know what? Go grab that. And
I said ass. Sorry. You can't take me anywhere.
That was Michelle's earliest recording, I thought.
Yeah. Well, I could play a G was. It's fine.
Okay.
Let's see here. Now let's make sure my computer isn't going to be. You can take some Q&A when we get this set up.
Okay. Wear the puffy shirt. I don't want to be a pirate. My wife and I just had the Jerry Seinfeld puffy shirt conversation a couple days ago. Acting like a professional. Let's talk about etiquette with the industry. Mm-hmm. We just got a call from a library owner, publisher that you know very well. Somebody that, if you know him, you can't help but love him and respect him. He's very businesslike and knows everything. And I was out of town over the weekend, or like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday last week, and this guy called Taxi and said one of our members was submitting songs to listings that were already signed exclusively to this company. Mm. So the company got forwarded the song. Our screeners forwarded it, and the company owner gets the song, goes, well, hold on a minute. This song is already in our catalog. And found out that the Taxi member was submitting stuff because they didn't understand what exclusive meant. Yeah. And that's enough to make them not love you very much and not want to. I mean, in the film and TV world, just so you know, most of it is not plugging. People want to imagine that a publisher signs your stuff and says, I love this song, and that they go knocking on doors. Hey, Mr. Music Supervisor, check out this song. Hey, Mrs. Music Supervisor, check out this song. It's really more of a, the supervisors call the publishers, do you have anything like this? So it's pull, not push. Anyway, even when they get the request for music, they're still going to go to the people that they know have the right music and are trustworthy souls. And if you've done something as improper or shall I say, even a little boneheaded to submit a song that is signed exclusively to a company and they find out you're still out there pitching the same stuff, even if it was an honest mistake born out of ignorance, they're not going to be so keen on you sending your stuff when somebody requests
No,
stuff.
I mean they need to trust you. The one publisher that I now write for, upon request, I think I met him one year through somebody else that I already knew, and then we got a song signed through a forward, and then it still took like another year and a few emails before we started communicating fully. Because you know you can't really like bug these. Let's do something. Let's do something. Let's do something. You know.
Oh,
But
to tell them why you can't bug somebody, because
well,
for a newbie they wouldn't know why.
well, you know, it's like what we talked about earlier, and that guy emailed me with the lyrics and was like just bugging you, and it's just unprofessional. It's I'm trying to think of the word. There's a word to describe that kind of bugging somebody, and
Annoying as hell.
well, yeah, I guess that would be. I mean, you know, it's annoying.
Needy.
They're not needy. The needy thing, yes. God, I was so needy. I feel like so bad for people who are around me. That sorry,
But look how you've grown.
Yes, I remember. You know how after the panels, like people would come up to the music supervisors and they take music and all that. I had no idea how to approach people. I mean, it still kind of bothers me a little bit. I feel much better doing it at the bar now than that kind of stuff. It's like, hi, here's my music. You know, didn't know what to say. Or one year I brought these thumb drives and I had lanyards around them.
Yeah.
And one guy, I'm like, here, let me give you this. And I shoved it over his head. And it's
gosh.
like, I think the lanyard scraped his nose.
Oh,
I'm like,
crap.
oh, so not cool. So not cool.
Nice going, Lockie.
God. So it's so much better through like forwards or meeting them through someone else. And as long as you're writing and producing music that they're going to want to hear, and it's just not some crap you recorded in your hotel room that night or something. Because some people are like, here's my song demo. You know, this is really good song, but it's not fully produced, and I don't know if it's really going to work for your show or anything. But
And the vocal's not as good as it could be, but you'll get the idea.
But you know, but I did. I mean, I did that stuff too. You know, or somebody else would be talking to a music supervisor, and you know, and I was standing with them, and the music supervisor's like, "Well, we're really looking for this." My friend's like, "Oh, I have that." I'm like, "Oh, I have that too." Here.
Well,
You
how do you learn not to be that annoying, needy, unprofessional amateur?
I mean, just because sometimes I still feel that way. Sometimes I go when I meet. I'm. For those of you, well, you might not believe it, but I'm actually quite a shy person, or was. Sort of still am. I'm always, especially one-on-one when I meet somebody new, I'm a little nervous about it, especially if they're a little withdrawn as well. God, if both of us are there, we're both withdrawn people, it's like not a good scene.
Two wallflowers staring at each other's pots.
Well, and some people, I think they've actually thought that I was not a very nice person because I'm a little shy, or I have what they call
Yeah, you could say bitch.
bitchy resting face. You know?
A bitchy resting face.
Have you ever seen that video? It's hilarious.
No.
It's like, because when I just have, when I'm sitting here, my lips, they just naturally turn down, so it looks like you're frowning.
Bitchy resting.
So I walk around, and people are like, oh, stay away from her. They just get scared of me. I don't know. But
people think I'm outgoing, and I am the kind of guy who goes to a party, and the only person I want to talk to is my wife.
yeah, I mean, and I just, oops, I don't want to play that yet. I had to get drunk to talk to people like in the past. Oh, wait, I still do that, don't I?
Know, my problem is I don't drink because I get a hangover before I finish half a beer. Seriously, I get a headache and feel like crap. So I don't drink much. And I think that has I don't know anything about baseball, and I don't drink. Really. I mean, I will drink on occasion, but I don't drink enough.
It's probably wise, the not drinking part.
Really? Well, I mean, yeah, I save a lot of money. I never throw up.
There you go.
And
I don't want to throw up.
I know the woman who wrote "I Don't Want to Grow Up." I want to be a Toys R Us kid. She was an intern, I believe, at J. Walter Thompson in New York, and then she became senior vice president of music and made stupid money because of that one jingle.
But back to learning how to contact people, it's just being friendly. I mean, there's some people that can talk to anybody. Yeah. I'm not one of those people. So for me,
could have fooled me.
Yeah, for me, it's like getting the song signed, building the relationships through getting those songs signed, or meeting these people in a casual setting through other people that are already signed with them, And the first thing, really, you shouldn't talk about the music like the first thing. It's
Right.
almost like just
They're waiting for it. They expect it, and
right.
they
It's like
appreciate it when you don't.
it's like, hey, I really like such and such, or did you see this new movie? It's getting that casual conversation going, unless of course you're asking them questions about a course they taught or something like that. And then you can kind of get into it that way, or and then if music comes up, you could be like, hey, I've really been thinking about writing this style of song, but it's going to come naturally if it comes at all, and if it doesn't, don't
Right.
force it.
Have another
don't
drink.
Yeah, let's have another drink, and then we can talk about the music now.
The first person that ever ran a listing with Taxi was a guy named Craig Kalman, who at the time was vice president of Atlantic Records. Jump ahead 18 years. I'm in line at the security thing at LAX, and I see a guy standing in front of me wearing a really cool industry T-shirt that had to be from like an industry insider. I went, "Oh, you work at Atlantic?" He turned around. It was Craig Kalman, who's now chairman of the board of Atlantic. He goes, "Lasco?" I hadn't talked to him like 4 or 5 years. He goes, "Lasco? What?" Yeah, same flight you are, I guess. So as it turned out, we were sitting next to each other on the plane. Oh, and his laptop got stolen going through security. While I chatted him up at security, somebody walked off with his laptop. Anyway, I had to force myself the entire flight. I didn't say the word taxi once, other than when he said to me, "Are you still doing taxi?" And I said, "Yeah." And all I did was show him pictures of my kids on my laptop and talk about my wonderful wife and how are your kids, how old are they now? The entire flight to New York. Then we watched a movie. And at the end of the flight, he said, "Why don't you come over for bagels tomorrow?" So I got invited to the chairman of the board of Atlantic Records house for bagels on a Saturday morning because I didn't try and sell him anything.
And that's what, you don't want to do that. And that's what a lot of us do initially. We want to give them our music. So,
because you feel like it's a once in a lifetime opportunity, you don't want to let it get away.
Right, and it's hard not to do that, especially when you don't know what else to say. And sometimes, and the thing is too, try not to interrupt them when they're talking to somebody else. I have a habit of doing that. I did it last year by accident because one of my publishers was looking for me, and then I found out he was looking for me, so I finally found him and went like, "Hey, how you doing?" He's like, "Hey, how you doing?" But I didn't realize he was talking to somebody, like another artist or something. And so we started chatting, and I should have said, "Hey, I'm right over there. When you're done here, come over and talk." But we all kind of started talking as a group, but I could tell that guy was pissed. Not the publisher, but the artist.
You got to do this. You just got to do.
It's like, calm down.
Yeah.
But So it's a learning experience.
Okay. Now, I've asked Michelle to do this. She was a little reluctant, but she's going to play the before and after. So...
Before and after probably still sucks. Do you want me to play the really shitty song first?
Yes. Well, we don't have a whole lot of time, so play something before you were taxiized.
All right.
All right.
This is really bad. I just want to say I had this whole the therapy thing I mentioned. Well, this song was my therapy, and I sent it in to a production company that sent me a letter claiming they liked my music. I didn't let them change the lyrics, but I let them do the melody.
Okay.
And it sucks, but anyway.
Was the production company based in Nashville or
LA? It's Nashville. Is it going to play? And it's not me singing, it's somebody else.
How do I forgive myself when these memories return? The instant regret I feel brings back feelings of despair and pain. I wish I had more confidence and knew better what to do.
Terrible.
Instead of feeling small and unstable and giving myself away to all of you.
A very personal song.
It is, but
you can't love until you love yourself.
I mean, they did a good job trying to fit my lyrics to whatever melody, but there's so many words.
Forward until you forgive yourself. How do I forgive myself? Do I look up in the sky and wait for absolution? Do I pray and hope to be given my salvation?
Have you ever had Ralph Murphy listen to this?
No. I've had him listen to other stuff, but not this. Anyway, it goes on and on. I mean, that's like half a song. It's like 5 minutes long.
So, well, it's better than...
Yeah.
I was being complimentary. Look, at least you did it.
Pass the vodka. That's not my voice, Pedro. But this is the rewrite, if you want to hear that.
Yes,
Okay.
I do.
This was still, again, this was probably the first year that I joined Taxi, so I still don't know about universal lyrics and all that. This is my first in the studio. I co-write it with a writer who's also a producer, and he produced it. It was kind of my first like learning experience of writing a real song. So.
Okay.
Sorry. This is my voice. This one. Get it off the shot.
How do I forgive myself when these memories haunt me? The pain I feel won't let me be. I wish I had more confidence, knew better what to do, instead of giving myself away to you. They say you cannot love till you love yourself. They say you don't need to put your heart on the shelf. Even though I've been forgiven, can I forgive myself? They say
I like the fact that he's got a musical hook now.
I hear a voice say, you can't fool me, I know who you are, and you can't run away. But if his blood has covered me from the sins of my
A little bit on the
past,
religious side.
I was thinking that this is not that far away from CTM.
I feel like the lighters. Anyway.
You don't need to put your heart on the shelf. Even though I've been forgiven.
Anyway. I think there's a big bridge and then.
Let's hear the bridge. Bridges. I love bridges.
There's the big bridge. So I can't find it. Big breakdown. Anyway.
It's infinitely better. What was
yes.
the time difference between the not so strong
year?
one? Wow.
Something like that. And that
Did you like break down and cry when you heard this version versus the old? I mean,
well, and
tears
also,
of joy.
yeah, and this was kind of my first singing experience at a studio as well.
Wow.
And when it was finally like done, I was like, maybe I can sing. I mean, it's not like the most perfect thing in the world, but you know.
No, but your voice has a quality, and that actually scores more points, I think, than perfection.
Right. What the heck? Sorry. I'm trying to find. We just do part of one. The one that now this is fast forward to what year is it? 2015.
Yes, it is.
So that was 2009. This is 2015, and this is the one that was just placed in rain.
Okay.
So you can kind of see. And I read some stuff on here. Somebody said something about they're getting frustrated, but they really believe in this whole thing. You can do this. If I can do this, you can do this. It's hard work. It is a lot of hard work on your personal inner side and also the practical side. But you can do it. I mean, it's not beyond your reach if you think it is. It's going to be hard. You're going to tear your hair out. You're going to cry. You're going to scream. You're going to get pissed off at people. But you can do it. You can do it. We ought to write a group song. Seriously, next rally, bar, we're all gonna write a song, and then we're gonna do a one of those flash like dance things to it. Just letting you know that. Anyway, all right. So this is what just got placed on Rain this last week with Matt Moss. He's probably not on there. because in the bridges you really have space, you know. So kind of shut everything down, just kind of the area space. They like that.
Did that part of the song get used?
Actually, I think no, just the verse and the chorus got used.
Okay.
But a lot of people like this kind of bridge in it. I thought, if anything, this is going to be used. But anyway, and it goes right back into the chorus. So anyway, so that, yeah.
Here's an interesting observation, if I may.
Yes.
Much more contemporary and evolved, and sounds like what the market is doing.
Yeah.
What genre would you call it?
It's kind of like that indie pop, dream pop kind of thing.
I was sitting there thinking, great example of dream pop.
Yeah. The ala was War Paint.
Yeah.
I think, because we did this specifically for the publisher 3 months ago, and it got placed on Rain. So
we get frustrated here because genres are moving targets, so we get frustrated on our own behalf and on our members' behalf, and we get frustrated because a lot of publishers don't really know. They can point you to a song, give me something like that, but then they will give you the wrong genre.
Yeah,
and so the best thing people can do is go on music blogs and listen to the stuff that's bubbling up and becoming trendy.
Yeah.
As long as it's not too far outside.
I want to answer some questions when we're done. Sorry.
But that would be. Would you ever imagine that you would be doing dream pop?
No, I just kind of fell into it too. I think I'm trying to remember, because I was doing a lot of indie folk stuff, and I still do that stuff a lot too. And then one of my publishers must have. I think he sent an ala. And I started listening to that stuff. I'm like, well, I'll give it a try. And I collaborated, I think, with Scott Free and FM Cossi on this song. We sent it, and he liked it, but the lyrics were too close lyrically to the ala. So we rewrote the lyrics, but he loved the style and the song. I'm like, well, maybe I can do that. And some other people commented that my voice is kind of that dream poppy shoegazer type thing. And I'm like, well, maybe I should be doing more of that stuff. And so it just kind of worked from there. I didn't know what I really fit in because I was always looking at the bubbly pop or the Kelly Clarkson type stuff, and I just don't have that big power vocal like that. But I didn't want to believe that at first, in the beginning. That's what you want to be. You want to be this, you know. And so I've over the years kind of figured out what I can and can't do and how I can fit into that. I think somebody was asking. Matt Moss produced it. Somebody asked if it was mastered. Matt did it, but somebody else asked. There's something above. I can't see. MTN Home. Sorry for all the questions. Oh, you're talking about the They Say song. Yeah, I worked with somebody in a studio. We rewrote it, and then he did the production. And then this Devour Me song, Matt Moss produced it. Well, we co-wrote it, and he produced it. This Devour Me song, yes, I'm singing.
It's funny.
Need more bacon. Yes, I agree.
Ethan Nakamura says Taxi is dominating the show Rain. I've been in a little discussion with a guy who used to be a screener here when he was a music coordinator and sometimes music supervisor. And now he is a full-time, big-time music supervisor working on like really top-level stuff, big hits. And he wants to start screening again. And he said, but I've got two requests. Number one, I want to screen all my own stuff. And number two, I don't want to write out anything in the comment boxes. I only want to check stuff off because I just don't have the time to write the comments. And he hasn't realized it, but over the last 3 years since he hasn't been screening here at Taxi, the guy has used so much of our members' music that goes from us to the publishers to him.
Yep.
And so I'm thrilled that he's going to start running listings and screening his own stuff. It's because that way you guys get to keep 100% of your placement.
I like when they screen their own stuff in a way, but sometimes you know how we talk about genres kind of move around. Sometimes they'll put like alas that there are two that are same, one that's like completely different, and then you're like, okay, which one do you go for when you're targeting that, or you try something in the middle. and just to
And
get through. And then they're
get
like,
neither.
you need to listen to the alas. And like, we did listen to the alas. So it's like, just making sure that those alas are really, and then of course understanding how to target them is a whole different
We
thing.
deal with that
Yeah.
every day. There aren't a lot of people in the industry that are really good at giving reference songs.
They just
really-
know they want to hear something in that vein, but then they're, they probably don't know until they hear the song what they really were thinking. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe.
No, we don't know either. And frankly, we will walk the line of ticking them off because we will pester them a little bit because on your behalf as a member, we can't give you, we have to work really
Yeah.
hard to give you the most correct information we
Yeah.
can. So when we see 2 or 3 olives that don't really line up, we're playing with their deadline.
Yeah.
I need it in 3 days on one hand. On the other hand, we've got to track them down and get them to respond to a phone call to give look, these olives don't match. Yeah, you're right. Okay, just pick a couple that are like the first one.
Yeah.
But
And-
we've got to have permission to do that.
Yeah. And it's like now the more that I understand the listings and write songs for them, they'll be forwarded.
Mm-hmm.
And I extremely love when a song that I produce gets forwarded. It's like, yes, validation.
Yes.
Yes.
The V word.
And that's, the whole thing with fear and all that kind of stuff early on too was all about validation. Am I good enough? Am I good enough? And it's like, I'm finally past that, well, sort of past that whiny phase of am I good enough? And I just do it. So,
All right. Any more questions? We've got like 4 more minutes.
yeah, ask me questions.
Bacon.
Other than bacon.
Bacon.
You all know I love bacon. So.
Bacon popsicles. That sounds good.
Bacon.
Bacon popsicle toes. Not so good.
Oh, shut
What
up,
does
Steve.
Allah stand for? Allah means like it's a French term, right?
Yeah, it's French for sounds like or is like this, something like that. I could
Yeah.
ask Siri. As in, how do you find a collaborator? I've posted before. New to taxi, don't respond.
Pedro Costa says it means like. He would know. He's
Yeah.
French Canadian.
I know you're asking Michael, but I'll answer it.
That's,
I'll answer it.
you wouldn't do that to Dave Letterman, right?
No.
Okay.
Go ahead, fine, answer
No,
it.
that's all right. Post on the forums, new taxi, but no one's responded. I think my music's pretty good. How do you find a collaborator? I'm gonna let Michelle answer that because she went through the process. So
I did. Well, I got to know people on the forums. Then I went to the rally. I think going to the yearly rally is big. And if you're not a taxi member, sometimes each member gets a guest pass. So maybe you can find a guest pass from somebody in the forum. And then because I knew people from the forum, I met them at the rally. And then we got to talking, and you kind of start to collaborate from there, collect the business cards. It's a lot more personable than some of the other ones that I've been to, other seminar or whatever you call them. But the rally...
Oh, sorry, I didn't want to
No,
interrupt
that's okay.
you
But at the rally is where I met a lot of my collaborators after meeting people on the forum. And I didn't really Jones a lot of people to work with them. I just kind of commented on songs. I congratulated people. I asked them questions. And I decided to go to the rally since I wasn't going to be charged an extra $500 for going to the rally.
Yes, because the Taxi Road Rally is free. You get
Yes,
2
it is.
tickets for every member. I thought it said Crack Boy. It says Creek Boy. Hi, I joined Taxi in December. I've had 1 song sent to a music supervisor for a TV show. Good. What should I expect? Whoops. Write, submit, forget, and repeat. Don't have an expectation because chances are, remember, I know in your mind you probably think you have this mental image of a supervisor sitting there and clicking on your song on their computer and going, this is amazing, right? That's what everybody thinks.
Yes.
In actuality, the supervisor I was talking to the other day said, I probably listen to hundreds of songs a week. And that's why he doesn't have time to write comments on the stuff he's going to screen for Taxi. And so, okay, you're one of hundreds they're going to hear that week, and they're hunting for stuff for a target. It's not just like they're listening for great music. But on the happy side of that, you've made it through a filter that said you met the target and you met the quality bar. So they know on the receiving end that there's a pretty good chance stuff they're going to get from Taxi is going to be well targeted and high quality. So you've got that going for you. But what can kill it in an instant is they play it against picture and go, yeah, I thought this is going to be great. It's a great song, but it just doesn't work with the scene. Or they love it and they temp it in. The producer comes in and they sit down and look at it together. And the producer goes, now that I'm hearing that song, I think I want something more up tempo with a little more edge to it. And so there are a million ways that it's not going to work, and there's only one way that it will work.
Yeah.
So the odds aren't that strong that with one forward you should have any expectation. What you should do is write, submit, forget, and repeat. Because the more you do that, the greater your probability of success will be.
Somebody asked a question, how did you learn production? I'm assuming you mean me. I think I started with GarageBand. And I was learning ukulele at the time, so I just started recording there, I think through my speaker on my trusty little Mac. And then through meeting people, through Taxi, I started learning about different equipment. And then I took a recording class, FET, Nashville, you can kind of Google him. He does an online recording class.
He's the featured, by the way,
That's right.
featured passenger profile.
Yes.
He wrote such a great thing that was like 8,000 or 9,000 words. I broke it out. The next 3 Taxi newsletters will have stuff from Fed in it.
Yeah, he's really good. And the recording class is good because it takes you from the very beginning of recording, getting a good sound, the equipment that you might need, goes through all the microphones, just everything. And then I just took his one on mixing, even though I've already been mixing, kind of studied on my own and learned stuff from Andy, Gabrys, and all these people that have helped me so much. But I got so busy I didn't finish it yet. But when you take his class, you can download all the modules and watch them later. So I'm just watching the ones that I still need help on. But mostly it's reading about it, taking those courses, trying it out, playing in time. If you don't play an instrument, well, you just need somebody else to do it. And that's what's getting me now is I'm trying to get better on the uke, learn guitar better. I've only been playing 2.5 years, do keys, learn Easy Drummer. And I started to back off a little bit because, that master of, what is it, too many, Jack of all trades,
master of none.
But for some reason, I just had this drive in me that I need to be able to, at a certain level, to do it all.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like if I could go into my music room and sit down and pump out 10 or 12 songs, simple maybe, myself, then I feel like that I have more of a chance.
Absolutely.
Than somebody who's doing just like one song a month or something like that, because it is a numbers game to a point. But that's me. That doesn't mean that that's somebody else has to do that. That just is my drive. And if you've got a full-time job that you like and you're making a lot of money and you can afford to pay people to produce your songs and you can just keep cranking out, writing them, and somebody else can produce them and you can pay for it, do it that way if that works for you. I can't afford to do that anymore. So.
But we've got Taxi members that are,
Oh, yeah.
I would say 6-figure guys, gals at some sort of job, whatever they're doing, and yet they still find the time to write and record and produce their own stuff because it gives them the control.
Scroll down there, it's like it stopped or something. Yeah, and you can schedule time. You just have to figure out, okay, how long does it take you to produce a 3-minute song or to write a song,
right.
And how many do you want to do a year? And Chuck Schockler has a good class at Taxi that kind of breaks that down. So even if you have a full-time job and a family, you can still find that studio time to do it. Take courses in Pro Tools, learn from people in the forum. That's the reason I have not upgraded from Logic to the new one yet because I'm so used to it now. It's like I don't take the time to learn something new yet. But grammar, tense. Let's see if there's anybody else. Ask me more questions. We're probably way past time anyway.
Yeah, we are. Okay, bye.
Yeah, okay, bye.
Studio every first year. Doing myself at home. Great.
Yeah, that's what I used to do too. But yeah, it's just practice makes perfect, which is cliche, but it's true.
We started out the show today by talking about getting rid of bad stuff in your head, for lack of a better way to describe it. There's somebody at the screen named Wounded Ego. Why don't you put a bumper sticker on your forehead that says Wounded? No, I'm not trying to put you down, but that sends a message to people. So, well, I guess you could go the other way and say tremendously large ego wouldn't be good either.
Yeah.
But,
But we
I
are,
don't know if I'd wear that on your sleeve.
Yeah, we're all, wounded to a degree, songwriter wise, and just having that, learning to kind of get past that woundedness.
Yeah.
And that, woe is me type of thing. That's the only way you're going to break through and be successful in anything.
At anything, right. Not just music.
Anything.
It's good to have the wounds because it'll give you a place to write from for that kind of music, the introspective, moody singer-songwriter stuff. But there's a great big world out there, and a lot of the great big world wants positive, up-tempo, happy, bouncy stuff because people want to feel good versus I'm going to put a gun in my mouth and blow my brains against the wall. Not that I would recommend that for anybody. There should be I should have a crawl at the bottom of the page that says, Michael does not endorse putting a gun in your mouth.
What's your favorite color? Purple. I don't know. I'm focus on history. I don't have an elaborate vocal setup. I have a Roland R80 mic, and I have it on a stand, and I have one of those, these things.
Yeah, it's like a curvy metal thing with foam on the inside to keep the reflections to a minimum.
And that's it. I have some treatment on the walls, but not much. I have a little Steinberg C1 interface. It's like this big. Simple. I like simplicity, so it doesn't have to be complicated.
Yeah.
You just have to know how to use the equipment. That's all.
Yeah, people have the gear syndrome, or as Fett calls it, the gear acquisition syndrome, where they think that buying a $2,000 string library is going to be the thing that's going to put them over the top. They probably have a $500 string sample library that sounds great if you know how to use it well. Yeah. What kind of car does she drive?
I drive a Saturn Aura.
I can't believe Jim Carvalho asked that. Fine line between self-promotion and just look at me. Agreed.
That's true. And for a long time, look at me. Don't you like me? Don't you like me? Is this good? Is this good? Is this good? It's like the whole validation thing when you just don't believe in yourself. I'm semi past that. I'm just kidding. But it's
wounded ego. I'm not judging. I'm just trying to get. I don't know you. I can't judge you. I'm just saying that your screen name, if you use it out like on a forum or anywhere public like that, it's probably not going to help you, and we want you to be helped. So just know,
Icy Hot Fairy.
You were
that was my name.
Icy Hot Fairy.
Icy Hot Fairy. I don't know where that came from or why.
Really?
Yeah.
You don't have any idea. It just popped into your head.
Well, I think I always wanted the appearance that I was really cool and like strong person.
Icy Hot Fairy is not doing it.
No, I don't know why I thought that was cool, but no,
you could have been a character in Frozen.
Yeah.
Icy Hot Fairy.
I don't know.
That's going to be my favorite part of the show today. Wounded ego, censored.
Still working on the self-belief. We've got to work on that daily. There's some more books like we can put up on the forum that they're just like little picture books almost, but they're so good. They just narrow down the points of getting past fear and hopelessness. And anyway. Okay.
One last question. Let's take from Jim Carvalho. How do you start writing a song?
Quick version.
Well,
since I target stuff so much, usually I'll read a listing and I'll listen to the alas. And right now I only listen to the intro, the verse, part of the chorus, and like a bridge, because I have this innate fear of like ripping somebody off, which I've done accidentally before.
I think a lot of people have.
It's like now that I can hear it, like before that never happened because I didn't know what the hell they were writing or the chords or the melody. Now I'm like listening to it, I'm like, oh shit, that's stuck in my head. Sorry, I did the S word, but whatever. This guy censored. So I'll just start like, okay, this is a cool rhythm. I might look at the chord structure, and sometimes I'll start with their chord structure, but then it might change. Yeah. And then I just see what words start to come out. And so I'll write that down initially first. And then if I have a co-writer, then I'll just send it off, or I'll put it down and I'll come back the next day and pick it up again and see if it still makes sense. That's my quick version. That's how I start.
Universal lyrics. How did you transform yourself from writing the very personal, in-depth, emotional, outpouring lyrics that you did on the first version of that song to something that was more universal, but not really all that universal in the second version of the song, to the stuff that you're doing now, which is, and universal doesn't mean everybody's going to love it. Universal
Right.
means it can work well because there aren't
Understand.
specifics. It's
So-
more about the emotion than it is about, there's a green lamp in the room.
I swear to God, it was osmosis. It's like, I ask myself that all the time. Like, how did I get to this point? But I mean, it was, learning about what a universal lyric means versus what something specific is. Like let's say I'm trying to write a song for a scene, but I don't want it to interfere with the scene. Well, I'm not going to say she was driving down the road real fast with dust kicking up behind her tires and blah, blah, blah. You're not going to do that, but you could start writing words that are more emotion based. You can write about the dust, but in a way that's like she had dust on her bones and this, that, and the other, which is a song of Nathan's and ours. So I had to plug that. But you start to come up with these images that make you feel a certain way. And
She was running fast from something.
Yeah, just something, but you don't say that that's what she did.
Right.
And it's so hard to explain, and I know people have had hard times explaining it to me, but you can say, you're coming up with ways to describe feelings without saying what that feeling is.
Right.
Mostly. And then other times you use plain language that people can understand, but it is not descriptive. How the hell you put all that together is like, there's like no real formula for it. It's listening and learning and
watch TV commercials, because
and that
those
too,
are
yes.
some of the most
Love
universal.
is one of the songs I think are
Yeah.
happy something, the McDonald's commercial.
Any Subaru commercial, they tend to have a lot of really good universal lyrics in their stuff. And don't go, I caught, here's one that's not a universal lyric, because those are usually up and coming bands that a product wants to associate itself with, and sometimes they will let a non-universal lyric slide in there because they really want the band and
Right.
their audience to identify with the product.
Right.
So sometimes people make exceptions.
All right, one more question. Somebody said, when beginning a song by yourself, do you find you start with music or lyrics, or put them together as you go? I used to start with only lyrics, and just because I wasn't that good with melody or chord structures. But now I find that I have to have my instrument in my hand and start playing something for a lyric to come out occasionally. But I have some co-writers, like Paul Coughlin emailed me. He's like, I need a song that references gambling, but is really about relationships. And he was starting something. I don't think he sent me, I can't remember if he sent me the music or not, but I like blackjack. So I'm like, I came up with all this stuff, about a woman and losing a hand and this, that, and the other. And then he kind of put the melody and the song together. So it depends on the situation. But most of the time, I got to pick something up and start strumming it now. I didn't have to do that before.
We had a member the other day that posted on the forum and said, I live outside of the U.S. and I feel like I may be at a disadvantage compared to people that live in the U.S. I think I responded either in the newsletter or on the forum. Paul Coughlin's a great example. The guy lives off the coast of Spain, Ibiza maybe? Where's he live?
Somewhere over there.
Somewhere on an island off the coast of Spain. And that guy's rocking it. The only thing that might be a deficit or an impediment is that when you're sleeping, he's waking up. So you have to.
Yeah, in fact, I had to respond to an email I forgot about.
Anyway, Michelle, thank you. This has been great. And I'm so glad that we were able to do the show originally. I couldn't, as I said, because I was booked already. And anyway, it worked out. And she came right from LAX to Taxi World
Headquarters. I got to go drive another 30 miles.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Thank you for having me. I hope that this helped some people in a way.
It did.
And I'm pretty approachable, so, if you see me on the forum or at the rally, please feel free to talk to me.
Absolutely. All right, you guys, thank you so much for watching this special Wednesday edition of Taxi TV. We will see you on Monday. I've got a music attorney here, and I can't remember his name. It's not Steve Winograd, but anyway, yeah. See you on Monday. I think it's the 18th, something like that. Bye, you guys.
Bye, guys. Thank you.